I'd set out with the idea of making a simple Santa tracking app. Our brigade operates three areas, and I'm aware that there are some various commercial platforms and other tools that have been used in the past by brigades to do real-time Santa run tracking. One of those which requires, I think it's about $100 subscription a year to do basically one event. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just make my own, and I set out on that quest. And then when I started that, I realised that probably one of the bigger challenges that we actually face is specifically in the case of our brigade that we do a combined present and lolly run, where there are presents provided by parents that need to be delivered to specific addresses. And I'd created a spreadsheet that basically took in a raw address list and managed to divide that up into three different sectors. But it still needed a lot of manual tweaking, basically, to generate the route plan and make sure everything was in the right order. Inevitably, it didn't matter how much scrutiny was placed onto that. There was often still mistakes, and some addresses were missed, and various different things like that. So I realised that, particularly for us, that was probably one of the bigger issues in terms of being able to do the delivery of the presents, while also ensuring that we sweep all of the streets within the given areas in the most efficient method possible as well. So what I've done is created a platform that addresses all of those issues, which is called Santa Squad at the moment. So basically what we can do in here is create a new event. So if we call this Christmas 2024, and we'll say that we're going to do our Santa run on the 21st of December, we have to plug in a starting point. So if we put in, an address here, if I could type, so we'll pin our starting point. This will also grab the GPS coordinates of that point as well. And now we've created the event. We've got our event dashboard. So you can see a couple of things here. Firstly, this event is in draft. The public tracking for Santa only becomes available once the event is in progress and it's active. So at the moment, if anyone goes to the public tracking link, they'll just be told there's no active event at this time. We've got some event stats, our public tracking data. Basically, a unique code is generated, which is passed into the app, which gives you a full screen map. With the Santa tracking, we can also create multiple Santas, which also have a unique code. So we can additionally pass that for the purposes of where parents may want to hide the fact that there is 2 or 3 other Santas out in the area at that particular time. And only focus on the one that's operating within their area. So all the Santas are assigned a unique code as well. We've got our routes, which we'll have a look at. We've got delivery points as well. So delivery points is used for the purposes of obviously delivering presents to a designated address. So if we have a look in here, again, we've got our map interface. We can basically punch in an address and have that look up and populate. We can put in the children's names. There's one present. We'll put in a contact name, and we can plug in their phone number as well. You might like to put in a description, blue present in bag or something like that. One thing that you'll note is that each present, once it's created, is allocated a unique tracking or delivery ID, which can also be attached to the present. And this is also visible in the mobile tracking app that's on the truck. So as you get to each of those delivery points, you can reference that and tick that off in the app and make sure that particular item's been delivered. So just for demo purposes, we'll add another address in here. Oops, pop that in as well, and we'll put in the name in here. 2 presents, and pop that in. So now we've got 2 addresses in our delivery points. You can see now that it's picked up and said you've got 2 delivery points that are not assigned to any route. So what we can do now is create a route. We'll give it access to my location services, and we'll call this the west route. And basically now we can draw on our map. So I know that this particular street that we're using for this demo is down in here. So we can basically, grab off a section of the map and do a little bit of that. So now we've got our polygon drawn. We'll create that route. We've now got our west route with 0 delivery points. So if we auto assign, we'll see now that the app has put those delivery points into that route because it knows that that street was within that route. If we view this, you'll see that those delivery points now belong within this route. They're in this street here somewhere. So that's been done. The next thing we can do now is create our route plan. So if we click on create route plan, you can have as many versions of these as you want. If you're adding more delivery points after the fact and you need to redo a route plan or something like that, we can just create more. So we've created our route plan. So now it's telling us this has not been optimized. So basically we're now going to send all that data off. We're going to try and figure out the most efficient way to run our route within this defined area. So if we click optimize route, we'll see it goes off and does that. We've now got turn-by-turn navigation that's provided by Google Maps that's telling us where to turn, when to turn. It's telling us where our particular delivery stops are in this sequence as well. Obviously, because we're using Google Maps, there may be some inaccuracies in some of these steps here as well. So what we can actually do now is go, well, actually, we don't need this. This first step here is actually redundant. So we can edit this sequence and we can drop that that particular step out. Go, cool. Okay, that's all good now. So there's still a little bit of work to be done on this optimization, but for the most part, it's about 95% accurate at the moment, which is really good. Sort of handling the geospatial data and area bounds and all that kind of stuff is obviously not without its challenges, but we are generating a followable route through the platform. We can print this. As I said, we can also come in and we can edit the route and re-optimize it. And, if I made some mistakes, I can basically just hit re-optimize and it'll regenerate it, put that step back in and things like that. There is provision in the platform as well for us to be able to create another route. So say if we put in, the north sector in here, and we want to target this little area up here, so we can basically grab this as a area, like so. We'll create that. So now we've got north with 0 delivery points. We can actually create a route in here as well without the delivery points. So if you were just doing a straight lolly run but wanted to ensure that you did sweep all of the streets in that particular area in a logical order, it's going to give us a warning and say you're creating a route without delivery points, which is fine. And then we can optimize that route and basically it will spit back our step-by-step instructions to basically navigate our way through this whole sector of streets here in an order that, where possible, avoids backtracking. But obviously, it's inevitable with some of these areas. You can see, obviously, these streets sort of loop around into each other. So at some point, there is inevitably going to be some backtracking, but we're trying to reduce that the occurrence of backtracking where we possibly can within this system. So finally, as I mentioned, we've got our Santas. So we can put in, Tanker 1 Santa or whatever we want to call it, and we want to assign them to a route. As I said, so this activation code here is what they would put into the mobile app to commence their live tracking. They'll become active at the point that tracking data starts getting sent into the platform. So there's no need to make Santa active at the moment, but we do have his tracking code. So you would say, obviously, to the person who's got the app on their device that's in Tanker 1, here's your code to get started. They don't need to log in. There's no accounts or any of that kind of stuff. I've tried to make it as simple as possible, just using these tracking codes, which can be included in some briefing documentation and things like that. And then obviously, as I said, we've got our public tracking URL at the moment. So you can see we've got the event is not currently active error at the moment. So if we do change this to in progress, and then we go back and have a look at our tracking, we get there's no active tracking data at the moment because Santa's obviously not logged in on the phone and it's not pumping up any data. But otherwise, you would see a map with Santa moving around. It's set to about 5-minute update intervals at the moment for the purposes of testing, which I think is probably largely sufficient for doing Santa runs. Given that we are doing the present run and we have got parents' names and phone numbers, I am potentially considering doing some, forward alerting on that. So we could potentially SMS them when the truck is, 5 minutes out and say, hey, Santa's arriving, head out the front of your house or something like that as a potential option. I've not got that far as yet. Probably the other thing worth noting is that there obviously would be, I would envisage a fee associated with using this potentially, whether, two different fees if you're using the present and lolly delivery method. That's a little bit more data intensive to do the delivery point routing versus just the regular routing. But obviously, given that it's doing a lot of that heavy lifting of the route planning and those kind of things, some form of fee associated with using the platform, which I haven't decided yet. It obviously costs if I push this up live and give people access to it, it does cost me money as well to be able to provide this as a tool to brigades. So that's all in consideration stage at the moment. Basically, putting this out there to gather feedback and see what people would think about using something like this. We obviously intend to use it this year for our Santa run because it does negate all of the issues that I've hit with my Excel spreadsheet and route plannings and all of those kind of things. But yeah, obviously, there's some rough edges need to be ironed out and some bits and pieces, a couple of bugs here and there. But overall, you can see from this demo that the platform itself is, effectively doing what it set out to do. So that's pretty much the Santa Squad platform that I've put together. So would be absolutely interested in hearing any thoughts and feedback on using the platform with other brigades.